Hey guys, I'm Matt Lighty, and this is a little preview video of what we're going to be doing next league versus normal for the build wheel situation. So this is for 3.20, and you'll notice that it's called the ultimate build wheel because normally we do one build for each ascendancy type, so 3 for each class bar scion, and they're going to be, some of them are not the greatest, some of them are okay, but typically 1 or 2 are amazing. What we've basically done here, and I've consulted with other people in Team +1 on this, and we've got a good baseline for what is basically falls into the category of the best build kind of for each ascendancy, or one of the builds for each ascendancy that is a tier 1 build, of which there are a good amount in the game, but some classes don't even really have a really amazing one, and some of them are kind of similar because, well, there is just certain things in Path that are better than others. And a lot of these things may seem ridiculously daunting, so we broke them up into 2 and possibly 3 stages with required item transitions, and I'm going to add a note section at the bottom per stage and then per transition, and also describe methods of acquisition. And obviously all this is subject to change, that's why I'm doing the preview video right now. So I just want to briefly go over what the format is basically like. So you have your classes, Templar, Shadow, Marauder, Scion, Ranger, Duelist, Witch, and then you have stage 1. And these are, as I wrote, these builds require essentially nothing and can be started and progressed in SSF. The idea is to farm out gear from the stage 1 build to transition into the stage 2 build. These are starter builds. You could play all these builds to 100 for the entire league and have success, sure. But there are more endgame variations of all these classes and subclasses, and then just better things. And a lot of these might say, wow, how the fuck do you do these stage 2 builds in SSF? Things like Ward Loop Ascendant, right? Or things like Accuracy Stacking Juggernaut. Well, you have to play a lot of Path, and you have to be pretty proficient at your time playing Path and make sure you utilize your resources accordingly. This is not, this is not your, that's why this isn't your standard build. Well, this is more an elevated one, a more elite one, if you will. And hence, we have the stage 1 and stage 2, because if you wanted to play Spark Inquisitor to 100, that's perfectly fine. You can play it the entire league, have a great time as of the patch right now. But if you want to kick it up a notch and play what would be probably the best Inquisitor build from a stage 2 setting, you can do Cold Reap. And what that requires is things like Awaken Spell Cascade. I really should include Awaken Spell Echo, but we'll put that in the stage 3 section. But, Leadership's Price, 1 Empower, 2 Enlightens, double Conversion Gloves, a couple 8 passive fizzes, and a couple 3 passive auras. This is actually one of the easiest ones to transition into. So you have to farm out an Awaken Spell Cascade off of Maven or Uber Maven. That's part of your stage 1. And you get to stage 2, and there's recommended subsections for each of these that lead to PoE Ninja. So look something like this. You'll have the constraints specified below or on the side to show you exactly what it would be. You can click any of these. They're going to be pretty similar amongst them, I guess. And you'll have an idea of what this build looks like in the future. Some of these things are kind of inaccessible in SSF, like specific Forbidden Flesh and Flames, but also they're not required. If there is something that is required, you'll see it. Like a stage 2 section won't say a Natural Instinct, it's not a requirement to begin playing the build in its pretty good form, but for its optimal form, that would be a requirement. And there's going to come parts of these sections that say pretty ludicrous things in stage 3, like get Mage Blood or get Headhunter, because those are the best in slot. Even things like get Allroth Resolve, the flask for Ward Loop, could mean you're doing, 400, 500 logbooks, which might be more than some people have ever done in their entire lives. But that's the point of the ultimate build wheel, is that there's a progression transition between what would be a totally adequate SSF starter build that can do all content for the most part, into a build that is more endgame and into the 3rd section, which we'll add, which is going to be mid-maxing that build. So all these as of right now work, and all these right now are tier 1 builds and tier 1 starters for the most part. But again, everything's subject to patch note change. I just want to keep you guys in the loop of what exactly we're planning and what it's going to look like going forward. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. You'll get more information. This will be adjusted according to patch notes as we get closer to 3.20 and get some more information. From my perspective, nothing on here as of right now deserves at all to be remotely nerfed, considering the current state of Path, considering the current scope of the power level of these builds. But as we know, why things get nerfed is almost always not steeped in logic in Path of Exile, and you have to make adjustments. So for some reason, if they want to totally gut Tornado Shot, will make it a different version like Venom Gyre or vice versa. But it's going to stay within this pretty much same subcategory. However, specialist things like Ward Loop just get nerfed because they just remove all resolve from the game. We'll have to totally pivot, and that'll be represented in the Google document. We'll go over all of them in depth as we get closer to 3.20. I'm Matt Lighty, and you guys have a good day.